Okay, year 5, if I can have you all down to the floor. Don't push, don't waste time, please. Okay, today in maths, we're going to have a look, or we're going to look back on our work from last week when we started working with chance. If you remember, we used these cards, the Uni Deadly maths cards, and they gave us different ideas of what chance could be shown as. And in particular, one of the ones we really looked around is the idea of equally likely. And so we're going to have a quick recap of that now. We're going to have a quick game. So if I can get you all into your colour groups, please, for maths. Yes, yes, Kylie, that's it. And if I can get one from each group, here you go. Here's your set. Here's your set. Here's your set. So we've got some quick fire questions. Let's see how good our memories are. Let's have a look. What have we got here? Brian, a chance of the sun setting today. Good. Sarah, likelihood of you having ice cream for dinner. Cherie, the likelihood of Sarah having ice cream after dinner. What's your reason for that, Cherie? Okay. Matthew, the chance of the Cowboys playing this week while lockdown is still on. Good. Simone, the chance of the Cowboys beating the Broncos when they play again next game. Thought you might say that. Okay, Rainer, chance of Morgan scoring a try when the Cowboys beat the Broncos like Simone reckons they will. Thanks, Rainer. Kylie, the chance of getting a head or a tail when I toss this coin. It's tails. Good try. So everyone seems to have really remembered the idea of chance. But what we're going to look at today is we're going to go a little bit further with, rather than just have these broad ideas, we're going to look at some stuff. Matthew, when I asked you yours in your group, you came up with the answer fat chance. Is that right? And what did that mean when you said fat chance? You meant no chance, okay. And you used the word fat chance because that's our Uni Deadly card. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at this idea of probability. And it does sound a little bit like the word probable. And so we're going to go a little bit further than just say whether things have got a chance or no chance or some chance or equal chance. And we're going to look especially at the idea of probability. And that means is it probable and the levels of probability. So Matthew, you said fat chance and you meant no chance. And so, if we had no chance, could we have zero chance? Is that what we could say? We could say 0 chance. And we could use the number 0, to represent no chance. We could say 0 chance. And so what we're going to look at is where we can go from there. And now, if I remember, Kylie, when I asked you your chance of the coin toss, you said to me, equally likely. You said it was equally likely chance. How did you know that? What was your reason for saying equally likely? Right, there were two choices, wasn't there? It was either going to become a head or it was going to be a tail. So you said that there were two choices. So we had a head or a tail. Rainer, could it be both a head and a tail? No, it couldn't, could it? It has to be one or one of these. It can't be both at the same time. So what we're going to do shortly, we're going to play a game of Jank and Pon. We're going to look into this a little bit further. And so our success criteria for today are that we can collect and display data accurately and effectively. We're going to be using some of our ideas, our tally marks or our graphs or some way of recording our data. So we're going to do that as our first success criteria. And then we're going to go into this idea of probability. We're going to list the probability of the outcomes in Jank-Pon. Yes, Simone, we will, I know, we will find out what Jank-Pon is in just a moment. And then we're going to list the probabilities of the outcomes when we use some spinners, some digital spinners on an iPad. Yes, we'll find out about the spinners shortly as well. But these are our success criteria. So through this lesson, I'd really like you just to come back from time to time and make sure that you're sort of seeing whether or not you're following along here on what we're looking for doing today. So, Jan Can Pon. Has anyone played it before? No? Okay. Well, I might play it with you to begin with. What we have to do, Brian, is put our hands out and we have to do Jan Can Pon. And you have to either choose a rock, or a piece of paper, or a pair of scissors. Ah, yes, rock, paper, scissors. It's actually a Japanese version called Jan Can Pon, and it means to begin with stone. I think it's because we use our fists. They look like stones to begin with. But then we've got a choice of three things, don't we? We've got a choice of either a rock, or scissors, or what's the third choice? Paper. That's right. So, I'm going to come around. I'm going to put you into some groups of 3, and you're going to have games of this. You're going to have one person recording the result. You're going to alternate that role, and you're going to have games of rock, scissor, and paper. And what I want you to do is I want you to record a couple of pieces of information. You can use your whiteboards, if you like, your personal whiteboards. You can use butcher's paper, whichever way you'd like to do it. And I want you to use some way of collecting the data, coming back to our first success criteria. I want the data collected accurately and effectively. So when we come back together at the end of this game, then I will be able to put your data together and we'll start to have a look at some of what's actually happening. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. If I can get this up. That should give us plenty of time to have some games. And I would like you to record these bits of information. Are we listening? I would like you to record each option that players choose. So if there's 2 players and they use, one chooses paper, one chooses rock, I want those both recorded on a list of options that are chosen through the games. I also want you to to record the actual winning option. So there's going to be 2 lots of information collected. The first one, what is it, Sarah? That's right, you're going to write down whether it was a rock, a paper, or a scissor from both players. And the second one, Stuart, what was it? Right, which one won? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Grab your paper or your whiteboard and find a place where you're going to work. Over in the beanbags, that's fine. 1, 2, 3. Where are you going to work? Right, grab your stuff. 1, 2, 3. Off you go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, everyone, now time is done. You can just come back over to the floor, please. I can just get you to sit back down on the floor with your sheets of paper, with your whiteboards, whatever it is you've collected your information on, your data that we're going to use. Okay, before we get too much further, I have a quick little bit of extra maths that I need you to do, please. In your groups, I would like you to count up, to add up the total number of options. So all your rocks, all your papers, all your scissors, I need a tally, one count you got of each. How many did you say? 33. I can see that someone else has picked up on an idea here. How can we get an odd number? Isn't there 2 people playing each time? So we should really have even numbers, shouldn't we? Because if we've recorded our options each time and there's 2 players choosing different options every time, then it should be in pairs of 2, shouldn't it? Very good pick up there. No, it doesn't matter at this point, but we did in our learning, we did want to find, I can't find my whiteboard pen, one of you must be using it. We did want to collect the data accurately and effectively. So this one here, we need to really make sure when we're collecting data that it is accurate. And if we've got a game where there's 2 choices, then our total should be pairs, shouldn't it? It should be in pairs each time. So we should end up with 2 each time being recorded. But anyway, that's something that you can have a look back through and see if you can work out where it is. Might just borrow this one for a moment. They chose to represent it this way. Can you guys tell me a little bit about why you chose to show it this way? So across, if you can see there, we've got our rock here, our paper and our scissors. And I've got game 1, and the 2 options were ticked, and then I think, is this circle, what does that mean? The winner. Okay, so the winner here was the rocker. So we've got all our data together from each of the groups, and you've done a very good job, I must say, at making sure you've collected that data. There's a few little inaccuracies, and that's part of data collection. There's always going to be inaccuracies, but it's about looking and making sure as best you can and going back through and seeing if you can work out what you've done wrong. There were some very novel ways of recording it and some very clear ways as well. So now that we've got all that data together, I just want to have a bit further look back on this idea of probability. So, just going to give ourselves a little bit of space here. If you remember, we used some fractions as well not long ago. So one of the things here is we ended up with, on our data, we ended up with 300 of paper. And 6 is my piece of paper. So we ended up with 98 rocks, 102 pieces of paper. I wonder if anyone can give me some maths that we might be able to use. Yes, it is written in the data. Yes, we have already collected it and counted it. But what I'm asking is, how do these 2 figures here relate back to this total? Simone, yes. And is it about learning? Yes, it is. Okay, yes. Right, that's right. What Simone's saying is that this one, the 3rd option, the scissors, this value here, this number here, these 3 numbers are going to add up to what? They're going to add up to this total, aren't they? So this is giving us 3 options. And within that one whole data set, we've got these 3 options. So just to come back from the very start of the lesson, that's okay, I've still got all of that on the smartboard, which we can bring up in the graphs in just a moment. When we spoke earlier, we were talking about a heads or a tail. And we established that they were an even chance, that there was a chance of this or this. So we had 2 options. So we could say that a head is one of the 2 options, or a tail is one of the 2 options. Does everyone agree? So if we add these halves together, 1/2 plus 1/2, we're going to end up with 2 halves, which is the same as 1 whole. And that was when we had 2 choices. How many choices do we have in Jane Campon? We have 3, don't we? We have a rock, paper, or scissors. I'm going to call them R, P, or S. So chance of a paper and a 1 in 3 chance of a scissor. And this was with 3 options. So what we're going to now do is, you've all got some iPads. We're going to have a go of the game of the digital spinner. And we're going to spend some time. I'm going to set the timer again. And this time we're going to spend 15 minutes. And we're going to now look at some spinners online that actually use. What did we learn? What were some of the ideas and some of the questions that we had? We're just going to spend a couple of minutes now just to have a bit of a yarning circle, just to share any of the things that people found interesting or added to what we were talking about. So what happened as you increased the number of sections? What did you see happening? That's right, they got smaller, didn't they? The actual chance of that was increasing. The number was increasing, but the sections were getting smaller as we go up. Are they still all, as Kylie said to us at the very start with her Yumi Deadly Maths card? I can't find it here. Here's one way of saying it, isn't it? We've got a 50-50 chance. That means that it's an even chance. It's the same. What was the one that Kylie? That's right. She had an even chance. Equally likely is what she said. Are they still equally likely? They are, aren't they? Because we've got the same chance of this arrow, this spinner, landing on any of these colours.